Good morning, YouTube. I wasn't going to shoot video this morning, and then I realized I'm driving a completely different route that I don't think I've ever shot video on. So what the heck? Give you guys some different scenery today. So it's Thursday morning, March 23rd, 2023, 6:08 a.m. And I should turn the news down because I'm kind of competing against it right there. 6:08 a.m. And I'm on my way to have breakfast with the woman that I went out karaoke bar hopping with on Tuesday night. So, kind of last night, kind of night before. Things like last night and night before become really fuzzy when you work graveyards. Just saying. Kind of feels like it was last night, but I don't know. I guess she misses me. But anyway, that's a good thing. Normally the route I would take to get over to where she's at would be Loop 101 to Dunlap and just take Dunlap all the way across. However, I just heard in the traffic report that there's a bicycle involved accident at the six-way intersection of Olive, Grand, and 75th Avenue. Now, I know that's a gradient level interchange, and one of the streets goes up and over the intersection, but it's been so long since I've gone out that way, I forget which one it is. Anyway, at this point, I think it's probably just best avoided, so my plan is to stay on Loop 101 on up to Northern and take Northern across most of the way. I don't know, I'll decide when to go north from Northern based on traffic, like I always do. So I said I got plans to go to Rocky Horror Picture Show on Saturday night, and I'm still planning on going through with that, although I haven't bought my ticket yet. I do need to check and make sure it isn't sold out, because there were not a lot of seats left over when I checked it yesterday. Yesterday morning. My direct deposit, or advance payday, whatever the hell it's called. Not that my direct deposit has gone through, but like I said, Wells Fargo has a thing called payday advance or early payday, or I forget what the hell they call it. But anyway, the funds have been made available for my Friday pay, so still haven't ordered my headlight lenses, but I did as soon as I realized that I had the funds there, I did a funds transfer. Oh, I'm getting a phone call, but I understand what I answered. And welcome back, YouTube. Well, that was a little disappointing. It's 6:35 a.m. and I am driving directly into the sun right now. Yeah, kind of hard to see where I'm going. Kind of, it sucks. So, yeah, she called to let me know that she was just getting home and wanted like a whole hour to get ready and get dressed and just like get a shower or whatever. I'm just like, yeah. Well, what am I supposed to do for an hour? It's like, I don't know. Find something to do for an hour. Yeah, there's not much to do at 6:30 a.m. by yourself for an hour. I mean, the whole purpose for me kind of meeting up with her is to not be alone, but I don't know. I'm just going home. Blah, and I don't know. I guess it's on me. Maybe I should have tried to just pre-plan a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe this all just boils down to miscommunication. It's my understanding she works at a warehouse really near me. I mean, I'm not looking for something where we're dressing up and going out. I mean, my God, it's 6:30 in the morning on a weekday. I don't know. I was just hoping that I could just kind of pick her up from work. Because I know she works at a warehouse. She's told me where it is, and I forget exactly, but I want to say it's like within 2 miles of where I work. And she doesn't drive. Now, I think she's been taking the bus lately. I think. She didn't specify if somebody was coming to pick her up or if she was using rideshare or taking the bus or whatever. And I suppose I should have asked. But I don't know. What I was imagining was...
freeway, and it's resulted in the closure of the northern on and off ramps to northern. You're not going to be able to use it. Try Dunlap or maybe get down to Glendale instead.
Oh yeah, more automobile fatalities. Yeah, we have a bicycle related accident at like Grand and 75th Avenue, and then we got kind of a fatal accident that just happened at Northern and I-17. I'm just kind of taking it easy right now because I'm going directly into the sun. In fact, I think I just want to turn right when I get up to 35th. Just because I'm sick of staring directly into the sun. Anyway, I don't know. What I had in mind was, and I texted her, well before I got off work, but what I was thinking is I could just pick her up after work, at work, and just go to like, someplace kind of low budget, like Waffle House or Denny's or whatever, or maybe even McDonald's. There's the McDonald's right there on my right. Just someplace where we can just get a light breakfast and just kind of chat. Oh, this is an interesting story.
Students. What the Phoenix City Council is doing about it and what they're not going to do about it. Next on Arizona's Morning News.
The Gators and Chad Show.
I'm definitely waiting for that story. I want to turn it up and get it as part of this vlog because it's something I've been talking about for quite some time on my vlog. Not something I talk about a lot, but occasionally about how different developers are often buying mobile home parks and then redeveloping the mobile home parks, which leaves the people who, in their mind, own their homes because they've got paid off mobile homes and they've been paying just really inexpensive lot rent to this old mobile home park. And these people have just got it into their head that that's what their living expenses are. And most of them have made no effort to put money away just in case somebody else buys that land so that they can either move or perhaps move their mobile home. And most of the people that are living in these old mobile home parks have mobile homes that are not in very good shape and probably aren't roadworthy to be moved anyway. Anyway, that's what the story that they were teasing is about. Except the developer that's purchased the land is actually, and I think I mentioned this, oh Lord, that's even worse, except for now I don't have some traffic. That developer is actually, I forget the name of the college. The big college whose campus I think is on my right now. I do think that's part of their campus on the right where I'm driving. Not that you can see much of anything driving into the glare of the sun right now, but oh yeah, that's definitely their campus. Grand Canyon University, that's what it's called, GCU, Grand Canyon University. And it's very much their campus on the right side of this road as I'm driving. As you can see, there's a construction fence. Their campus has been rapidly expanding in recent years. And anyway, they recently purchased a mobile home park in this part of town, which is a pretty downtrodden part of town. I mean, it's right adjacent to where all the working girls are, and so that's how low end this neighborhood is. And Anyway, apparently there's been a change in what's going on with that, and hopefully they'll get to that story really soon.
St. Mary's Food Bank now through April 18th and be
There's a drive
eligible
adjacent
for the
to the cameras.
2022 Arizona Charitable Tax Credit, which lets you designate the state taxes you owe to the qualified charity or organization of your choice. A person donating up to $400 would provide 2,800 meals, and $800 donated by a couple filing jointly means 5,600 meals for those in need. So if you've lived like no one else, and now you can live and give like no one else, please give at stmary'sfoodbank.org. That's St. Mary's.
Apparently the guy behind me didn't like how slow I was driving, but my visibility is compromised. I slow down.
Here's Detour Dan Beach live again from the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
No, we got a new freeway crash, Jim. It couldn't go much longer. We had to have another one eventually.
Yeah.
Westbound 10 years. I know, it's just part of the package. Westbound 10 at 75th Avenue. But hey, there's the caveat. 75th Avenue westbound. It's westbound going against the grain of the heavier traffic, which is on the other side and already experienced one wreck this morning. But you're also still experiencing some brake lights eastbound. From right now,
I'll tell you this, from just all these years of listening to traffic reports here in the Valley, I can almost guarantee that what's going to happen with that wreck at 75th Avenue and I-10 westbound is that there's going to be people in the heavy traffic going eastbound that are going to look at it instead of paying attention to the vehicles in front of them, and there will be another accident. Mark my words, I'd be willing to bet money on this, that there will be another accident on the eastbound I-10 directly opposite of where the westbound I-10 accident is. See if that happens while I'm still vlogging, and I can get it on this video and the traffic report.
Arizona's morning news. News Flash. At 6:44, I'm Peter Seymour. Here's what you need to know right now.
These people have to stay in their homes. They have to live in their homes, and they can't have that taken away from them.
But the Phoenix City Council will allow evictions at 3 mobile home parks. Grand Canyon University has owned one of them for 7 years. The school will convert the park to student housing. Jim Sharp has more on this story next. The Arizona Supreme Court rejected 6 out of 7 claims from Republican Carrie Lake in her
7 years they've had to prepare for this move. My sympathy kind of runs low for those people, just saying.
Verification procedures on early ballots in Maricopa County. KTAR Eyes on Education. Students in the Cartwright School District in Maryvale already follow a 4-day week. This fall, teachers and staff will do the same. The district hopes the shorter week will boost teacher retention and hiring. You're never more than 15 minutes away from today's top stories on Arizona's news station, KTAR News.
Kind of curious how many lizards are out at 7:45 in the morning.
Today, you got the residents at 3 mobile home
So I'm about
parks
to
in
find
Phoenix
out.
who are just weeks, possibly months, away from being evicted, and many residents still don't know where they're going to go. There is aid money from the state. We'll get into that in just a second, but a lot of people say it's hard to access. This woman, who identified herself as Alyssa Click, said she wasn't very happy with the school she attends, GCU, because they are one of the owners of a mobile home park that want those residents gone.
I came here to speak today to express to you all that I strongly condemn what my university is doing to the residents of Periwinkle Mobile Home Park. Displacement under the words development is still displacement. We must protect these residents from homelessness, and we must protect affordable housing for the safety and security of our city.
This man, Claudio...
She's adorable.
City Council...
You hold in your hands the power to acknowledge the will of the people and put these solutions into effect. I urge you to vote yes on the 18th-month moratorium and the mobile home zoning overlay. Now more than ever, it's important to demonstrate that you are more than your words, that you truly care about addressing homelessness and the rising cost of living in the Valley. I'm already hearing talk of this measure setting a bad precedent, specifically for landowners. Last time I checked, land isn't a human being. Land doesn't take care of their families and enrich their community. That's the people that live in these homes.
here's where some
But it is a
pushback
property
comes.
that you
Pushback
can
from
own.
those who are supporting emptying these mobile home parks, and not just because, well, let's just be frank here. Some of them are an eyesore. They're not exactly high quality residents.
I'm like right by it. Maybe we can roll by it while this story's on.
But some cases they're very decent, just happen to be poor people. But let's get to that pushback again. Once again, here's that GCU student, Alyssa.
Every single apartment building, house, and mobile home park that has been displaced by GCU now and in the past, and by other developers across the city, cause irreparable financial and emotional harm and trauma to the people that live there.
Now, I wanted to make clear that I have no prejudice against people who live in mobile home parks. I lived in, last count I had 4 trailers growing up. That's what we called them, too. We called them trailers. They weren't mobile homes. The pushback is this, that while GCU plans to expand their campus to cover what will soon have been Periwinkle Mobile Home Park, some of these other developers, as Alyssa called them, could build apartments. And while they won't be as affordable as those mobile homes, they will provide more units per acreage than single-story mobile homes can provide. And that's part of the key to lowering housing costs, more supply to meet demand. But this whole situation it's a huge collision of private land ownership, affordable housing, government intervention in the free market system, and our homelessness problem, which is just out of control. Preliminary numbers say that our homeless population in Maricopa County grew by half again over the last year. Ultimately, Phoenix City Council didn't put an 18-month eviction moratorium in place on these mobile home parks as they were asked to do, but they did vote to approve the use of $2.5 million in emergency funding to help residents relocate. That's on top of the money that the state is providing. Those displaced because of redevelopment are eligible to receive either $7,500 or $12,500 to move their mobile home. And for those who can't move their mobile home, are going to have to abandon it, they're eligible to receive $1,875 or $3,125 from that state fund. But it doesn't sound like a whole lot if you got to move your whole life, right, and leave the mobile home behind. And GCU says they're providing more than $500,000 in benefits to tenants, including free rent, early departure compensation, relocation, financial assistance, and household goods from GCU's City Serve warehouse. And they point out, too, in a statement that they more than doubled the deadline for notification from the 6-month requirement to 13 months. But that 13 months is up May 28th. KTAR News Time, 6:49. And we have a check of traffic once again. Here's Detour Dan in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Yeah, this ain't for the squeamish. We've had some pretty serious traffic issues early into this ride. Not a bunch of them, but just enough to keep you on your guard. Right now, westbound I-10, a wreck at 75th Avenue at the underpass. There's a wreck in the North Valley on the eastbound. Loop 101, it's right near 7th Avenue's exit ramp. There's also a closure of the on and off ramps at 19th Avenue, at Northern. This is going to be on top of crash that has closed the on and off ramps. I-17 at Northern. Try Dunlap or Glendale instead. This is for a fatal crash that's up on top. 19th Avenue at Bethany Home Road. Another pedestrian-involved wreck has been reported there. 67th Avenue in McDowell. 27th Avenue in the Loop 101. These are all wrecks. 51st Avenue in Lower Buckeye. That intersection is closed due to a crash. You're going to be in detours as well. Grand Avenue in Northern, a motorcycle-involved crash, and also 75th Avenue and Grand Avenue. We've got a crash reported there involving a bicycle. This traffic report brought to you by me, so please get that seatbelt buckled. Detour Dan, KTAR News.
High today of 68 with mostly sunny.
So many wrecks. Oh my goodness. And that's just normalized. A few people die from a flu, a variant of the flu or a cold or whatever it was, and suddenly we got to shut down the economy. But how many people are getting injured and wrecking cars every day? And that's okay. So I'm seeing a lot of empty spots here in Periwinkle Mobile Home Park. Ooh, and that gate is closed. I gotta go back out the way I came in. I'm seeing some quite a few empty spots. So apparently some of the people who had mobile homes here, they're saying 7 years that that Grand Canyon University has owned this property. And presumably all these people have been given notice how much time they have to remove their trailers. That's what they called them when I was a kid too, trailer homes, trailers. And all of them, at some point or another, were hauled here by a truck of some kind. That one just straight up looks like a camp trailer, more or less. And I lived in some growing up as well. I mean, you know, when somebody lets a trailer sit in the same location for so long that all the gear underneath it used for moving it gets dilapidated, you know, it's this is what you get. And as I can see going through this mobile home park, this place is pretty freaking dilapidated. And a lot of these people don't, just looking at just all the junk in front of their trailers, it doesn't look like most of these people are making any effort to vacate. I don't know. I don't have as much sympathy as that bleeding heart student that was talking about how she was mad at her school for doing this. I mean, if somebody, I'm of the opinion that if you buy some real estate, you should be able to do what the hell you want with it. So, you know, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I kind of feel bad for the people that live here, but I don't know, I see a lot of people owning, you know, some pretty nice vehicles here. So, oh, here we have another tailgater. There's evidence of another tailgater. You know, maybe they should have, instead of putting money into, and this gate is closed too, instead of spending money on financing, you know, big expensive trucks, which many of these look to be newer than 7 years old. Perhaps these people should have realized that, hey, I don't own the property my trailer sits on, and I need to be a little more frugal with my transportation and figure out what I'm going to do about either moving or selling my trailer.
Will be evicted soon. Grand Canyon University has owned one of them for 7 years.
This is the
GCU
one.
will convert its park
This is the one I'm in right now.
KTAR's Jim Cross has the latest in just a few minutes.
KTAR News. Water Watch.
We've had great storms this season. Reservoirs are almost full across the state, but Arizona is still facing water challenges.
Drought and the effects of climate change are hitting the state's water supply hard, especially the Colorado River. But Kathy Jacobs with You Arizona, who was also a state water manager for several decades.
And those are new student housing that you see above the, as I was approaching that wall there. This new student housing going in on the other side. As you can see, pretty much all this neighborhood, as I was driving into it, is filled with, has been taken over by the GCU campus. My trailer on the right looks like it's getting ready to be moved, but it also looks like it's been pretty much gutted, so the people that lived in it probably moved out. That one on the right looks pretty empty too. But yeah, I see quite a few of these people living here. But I sure see people with, well, that guy's got Mexican license plates. Things that make you go,
TikTok poses a serious threat to national security. The Chinese-owned company collects users' data, including biometric information. Critics worry that data could be handed over to China's government.
That's ABC's Justin Finch. Who else is going to teach me how to cut open bananas that I could more easily peel?
Like I've been doing it wrong all these years.
Yeah,
well, you can learn a lot from a monkey. All right.
That's good.
There's Detour Dan in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
All right, guys, let's see what's happening in your commute. Unfortunately, there's a lot happening right at the moment. We have a wreck on the eastbound 101 at 75th Avenue. Didn't need that. Wreck just coming in as I speak. Another one westbound I-10 near 16th Street on the inner loop. Southbound 17, just south of the 10 Stack interchange. There's a wreck off to the right. There's also a wreck on the westbound I-10 at the 75th Avenue underpass, and the Loop 101 eastbound had an earlier crash that's still with us. It's eastbound approaching 7th Avenue right near the exit ramp. We're also working closures this morning of the northern on and off ramps due to a fatal crash on northern on top. Try Dunlap or Glendale to enter and exit the freeway there at the 17. A pedestrian involved wreck. 19th Avenue and Bethany Home Road. 158th Avenue and Van Buren a crash, and more wrecks. 67th Avenue and McDowell. 27th Avenue at the Loop 101. 51st Avenue and Lower Buckeye. Intersection closed due to a collision. Motorcycle involved wreck at Grand Avenue and Northern. 75th Avenue and Brandon. Those are multiple reasons to get that seatbelt buckled. Deej Renan, KTAR News.
High today, 68 with mostly sunny skies. The low tonight 47. Sunny tomorrow with a high of 69. Weather brought to you by Howard Air. Time for sports, and here she is, Sarah Cazell at the Parker.
Yeah, I don't care about sports. Just waiting for this light to change. I'm at Coulter in 27th Avenue. Looks like just that one girl working there at the corner of 27th Drive and Loop. I feel like I've definitely seen her there before. She's hustling. What can I say? I'll be glad when that sun gets a little higher in the horizon, so every time I head west, it's just not in my eyes. So I'm curious, like, just how close to 27th Avenue GCC is buying up. It seems like they're buying up everything here on the left. I'm curious if the mobile home park on my right is also one that's affected. But even if it's not, I'm sure it's just a matter of time until some developer buys that property. I mean, the bottom line is if you've got a trailer anywhere in Central Phoenix or any other city that's having gentrification type infill development happening, you should realize that your days are numbered unless you have a co-op and the residents actually own that property. It's just a matter of time until the person who does own it sells it to somebody who's going to make better use of that property, because the mobile home park is not particularly great use of a property. Just saying. Oh, she's still there. So I'm trying to make that early morning money. As I sit here wondering what it would be like if she was in my budget. Oh wow, the house on the corner looks like it had a fire recently. Kind of interesting to see what's going to happen with all these houses here as the campus expands and gets rid of a lot of the less than optimal housing, shall we say, out of the area directly to the west. I wonder what's going to happen to this little residential neighborhood here between I-17 and 27th Avenue. Some of these homes here, I mean, they're pretty modest homes, but some of these houses look fairly nice. And some of them look like they're kind of falling apart. You know, the funny thing is the vehicles that are sitting in front of these houses a lot of them don't look as fancy and as expensive as the ones sitting in front of the dumpy mobile homes, the dumpy trailers over there at Periwinkle Mobile Home Park. So I guess it just goes to show people's priorities. You know, the people that are here, their priority was actually buying property and a house, Whereas so they've not got as fancy of a car. Whereas the people that were living in those mobile homes, or still are living in those mobile homes, their priority was buying a fancy car. So I wonder how many of them are going to end up living in their cars. I guess like they say, you reap what you sow. It'd have been wiser to put that money into a house. Just saying. Of course, the guy that was blinking his lights at me was in a Dodge. Almost always is. There's something about impatient drivers and Dodges that are just synonymous. Blah. I was thinking about getting in the lane to turn left here, but I guess I'm going to keep going south. Really not wanting to get on I-17 southbound. Although it seems to be moving pretty well. Blah, maybe I will get on it. Funny, looking at the traffic on I-17 seems to be moving pretty good, but it's all got a yellow traffic line on Google Traffic View. I got my Obama phone opened in the other. I got my Obama phone opened to Google Traffic, and that's what I'm seeing on it. And it shows it getting turning from yellow to red south of Grand. So probably just gonna get on it to Thomas. Actually, I should probably get off at Indian School because I need to do the money shuffle. Move money from one bank to the other bank. Since some of the payments I need to make come out of the other bank, and I got a notice telling me I've got like $1 in change in that other bank's account. Ooh, got DPS sirens and lights going while they head northbound on the I-17. Gotta admit, I'm a little disappointed to only see that one woman out working it at 7 a.m. in the morning on a Thursday.
Governor Hobbs can pause executions during a review of the death penalty.
The court says the warrant of execution they ordered earlier this month authorizes one to take place but doesn't require it. Valley attorney and KTAR host Barry Markson.
The warrant of execution remains in place, and if Governor Hobbs completes the investigation and a report is issued that Arizona can constitutionally carry out executions, then Arizona and the Department of Corrections can do so.
The governor's office argued in court filings Arizona doesn't have qualified staff or efficient drugs to be executing people. Aaron Gunchis was convicted of murdering Ted Price in 2002. Heidi Hommel, KTAR News.
Barry Markson also spoke with KTAR about another Arizona Supreme Court decision.
There's enough space.
The justices rejected all but
There's
one
enough space to park a semi between that vehicle and the Suburban behind it, and that guy is clearly playing with his cell phone.
Procedures on early ballots in Maricopa County.
I don't know that there are enough signature verification ballots.
His eyes are down looking at his cell phone while there's that much space in front of him and the vehicle in front of him.
The claim moves to a trial court.
KTAR News. Eyes on education.
Oh, I was thinking that tour bus was going to pull in front of him.
For the state's school vouchers program.
Debit cards are one of the 4 ways
tour
to
bus right there.
education-related expenses.
There's enough room. That tour bus could get in front of that SUV where the guy's looking at his cell phone. Oh yeah, he's still looking straight down at his cell phone. Oh, he's moving forward, still eyes on his cell phone. Good times.
So he's recommending new recipients use the other 3 payment methods rather than debit cards.
Everyone who has a debit card and has not abused it gets to keep their debit card.
The State Board of Education will vote next week on whether or not debit cards.
Oh wow, there is straight up a homeless encampment on the south side of the freeway overpass there on Indian School. Another big mobile home park on the right. I expect developers will be taking over that one soon.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas says the app helps more than 750 people a day.
We use the CBP One app to process individuals who qualify for exemptions from the Title 42 order.
That kept migrants from crossing.
Oh, I am stuck behind a city bus right now.
The app had received backlash from members of Congress due to technical issues. KTAR News Time is 7:07.
Of course, if I get close enough to the bus, at least I'll have it to block my eyes from the
A lot
sun.
of wrecks on the freeways right now, people. So
All right, here's the wreck list.
You've got wrecks on the 60, westbound west of Stapley, westbound 10 near 16th Street on the Interloop, eastbound Loop 101, 2 crashes. One at 75th Avenue, another at 7th Avenue. Southbound 17, we've had 2 different wrecks near the stack this morning. The one approaching is cleared. The one just south of southbound is still there. Off to the right, and a wreck on the 10, westbound at 75th Avenue. Been a bad day at the crash department because that's just the freeways. The surface streets have all kinds of issues. There's a fatal wreck on Northern right on top of the 17. It's closed for a mile in both directions over top of the 17. Try Dunlap or Glendale to enter and exit the freeway instead. Also 19th Avenue and Bethany Home Road, pedestrian involved wreck. 158th Avenue in Van Buren, a crash. 67th Avenue in McDowell, another wreck. 27th Avenue at the Loop 101 in the North Valley, a crash. And the intersection, 51st Avenue Lower Buckeye, that is closed due to a serious wreck that occurred there. Dieter and Ann, KTAR News.
High today of 68 with mostly sunny skies, a low tonight of 47. Should be clear overnight and sunny tomorrow with a high of 69. Your weather is brought to you by Howard Air. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Air. And from the KTAR Business Center News this morning, the Labor Department says 191,000 out-of-work Americans filed claims for benefits for the first time in the week leading up to March 18th. That's about 1,000 fewer than the week before. On Wall Street right now, Dow's up 243 points. The S&P's up 42, and the NASDAQ is up a little bit more than 189 points. For more money news, visit the Business Center at KTAR.com. And coming up in just a couple of minutes here, a very busy Supreme Court. Not only listening to Carrie Lake's
nice Tesla there.
Appeals, but also whether or not the governor has to put to death a death row inmate. We'll talk with Valley attorney and KTAR host Barry Markson to try and sort it all out for you next on Arizona's Morning News. It is 7:09 right now and 72 sold, as though you needed another.
That should be a pretty interesting interview. I'm looking forward to that one. I think it sets a very interesting precedent. And I'm surprised that the Supreme Court ruled that way. I mean, I kind of thought, generally speaking, when the judicial branch puts out an order, and a warrant is a form of an order, that wasn't a discretionary thing for the executive branch. The executive branch has to carry it out. And keep in mind, the governor's office isn't the only executive branch. That also includes the Arizona Department of Corrections. That also includes every police department, every sheriff's department. That's all considered executive branches. So I wonder, does that set a precedence now to where if a court puts out an arrest warrant, a local law enforcement agency can decide, we really don't want to follow through on it, and we don't have to. Kind of curious. Kind of curious about that. Wow, now there's a banner I haven't seen on an apartment building in the valley in quite some time. A giant banner on the apartments to the north here. And I don't know what they're called now. I'm sure they've changed names, but the old apartments just right here on the north side of Indian School, 930 West Indian School. But there's a big banner on it that says 1 month free. Now, it used to be, like a decade ago, that it was really common to see all over the valley large apartment complexes like that having move-in specials, where like if first month free with a 1-year lease, that kind of thing. And those kind of specials have really been disappearing, but apparently they're starting to come back, at least at that one apartment complex. I mentioned the channel Big Super. I think it's actually called Big Super in Arizona or something like that. But anyway, I've never met him, but I like watching his channel. And I mentioned he recently did a video where he takes a ride in a Waymo One car that's providing taxi service around the valley here. Fascinating video. Although I read in comments on Arizona and Reddit that they do not provide service east, at least in the Phoenix area, they don't provide service east of 44th Street. So, and this is from somebody who said they lived at about around 48th Street in Thomas. So somebody who lives really near me, saying that when he wants to take one, he's got to walk over to 44th Street to catch it. Which I guess is what I'd have to do as well. So, I don't know. I want to do that. I might do that today, actually. I think I just missed the turn that I wanted. Oh, no, I'm not on the street I need to be on. I went a little out of my way. I'm trying to get over to the... I don't know why I'm trying to get over to the Chase Bank. I guess I'm trying to go to the Chase Bank because I'm close to the Chase Bank, but the reality is that I need to go to Wells Fargo Bank first because that's the bank I'm moving the money from. Kind of need to get the money before I can put it in the bank that I'm moving it to. Wow, look at that building getting fully renovated. I hadn't noticed that one. Here at 3rd Avenue and Osborne on the southwest corner. Bottom floor, all boarded up. It says for lease. Looks like they're doing a major renovation project on it. Got the bottom level all surrounded with chain link fence. And I'm back driving into the damn sun. Whoa! Giant Ford truck pulled out before I was past him. Almost rolled in and T-boned me.
The Phoenix City Council voted 5-4 to allow evictions at 3 mobile home parks. Grand Canyon University owns one of them, which it'll convert to student housing. The council approved $2.5 million for relocation costs. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled Governor Hobbs is not required to carry out the execution of a death row inmate convicted of a 2002 murder. She's paused all executions while a review of the death penalty takes place. KTAR's Jim Sharp and Barry Markson will discuss next. State Schools Chief Tom Horn says Arizona cannot afford debit cards for new student recipients of the school vouchers program. The State Board of Education will vote next week on whether to cut them off. You're never more than 15 minutes away from today's...
Wow, more new development here on the right.
KTAR News.
LA Fitness going in.
A very busy Arizona Supreme Court not only took a look at whether Governor Hobbs has to execute a death row inmate, but also considered Kari Lake's appeals resulting from her losses in lower courts, where she attempted to reverse her loss in the 2022 gubernatorial election. The state Supreme Court did send one part of Lake's case back to a lower court, the one in which she claims that Maricopa County didn't properly follow its signature verification policies for early ballots, but they denied a review of the 6 other claims in her appeal. And Barry Markson, KTAR host, Valley attorney, joining us now to make sense of all this. Hey, without busting open all of those beautiful leather-bound law books you got there, Barry, can you briefly explain the issues the Supreme Court threw out and how they differ from the one claim that they are sending back to the lower court?
Well, they threw out all of the other claims that Kari Lake had made throughout this process, including that there were 35,000 ballots injected into the system at Runback, and just all of the other, it was a lot of people would call conspiracy theories that she was kind of throwing out there. The Supreme Court basically said that the appellate court and the lower court's decisions in those cases were accurate, and in fact, Jim, the Supreme Court it appears that they're going to sanction Kari Lake on at least one of those issues. They've asked both parties to provide some additional briefing about that, but they found, for example, that there's nothing in the record, there's no evidence at all that over 35,000 ballots were injected into the system.
But the one that they are saying, hey, lower courts, you have to listen to this claim, that has to do with the signature verification policies, not the policies themselves, but how that they were carried out during the election. Is that what this hinges on?
Yes. So what happened was the lower court and the appellate court, they dismissed that case on what's called latches, which means this was an issue that was in place earlier, that if Kari Lake wanted to sue about it, file a lawsuit about the issue, she should have done it before the election. What the Arizona Supreme Court said is, if you look at the technical language in Kari Lake's complaint on that specific issue, she's not arguing that the policy is incorrect. She's arguing that Maricopa County didn't apply the policy properly. Okay. So what the court has said is they didn't find that Kari Lake's argument has any merit. They just said that the lower court didn't look at it because it dismissed it quickly. Okay. So they sent it back to the lower court to determine whether or not there's any evidence to support that Maricopa County did not follow the election laws and the election manual.
Has she essentially exhausted her path going forward, or can she take this to the federal level, those 6 issues that were thrown out by the Arizona Supreme Court? And will she be able to find anybody to help her do that?
So, well, she seems to be finding people to do it because I think the MyPillow guy is paying lawyers. But the answer to your question, Jim, is anybody can file anything. So can she appeal this loss to the U.S. Supreme Court? Yes, she can. Mm-hmm. Is it likely that the U.S. Supreme Court accepts the case on appeal? No, it's not. These are state election law issues. It's incredibly unlikely that the U.S. Supreme Court will entertain this at all. So it really should end here, other than the one issue on signature verification that's going back to the trial court.
All right, our second topic, let's move on to the death penalty, which Governor Hobbs hasn't won.
I'm so bewildered that that's still in court, just saying.
Says that, hey, they're happy to issue an execution warrant, but they won't order Hobbs to carry it out. This is in the case of Aaron Gunches, a guy who said, hey, I did the crime, pled guilty, actually asked to be executed at one point. Does this set precedent for the executive branch to react however they want to warrants issued by a court?
No, it's specific to, it's a great question, but it's specific to this type of warrant. So this is an execution warrant, and what the Arizona Supreme Court said is that the execution warrant authorizes the governor and the executive branch, the Department of Corrections, to put somebody to death. It does not require them to do so, and that was the question. So what the Supreme Court said is this particular order authorizes the governor. It doesn't require her to, and that's not going to be the case with other types of orders.
Is there any way that this victims' rights group, which includes Aaron Gunch's victim's sister and now the Maricopa County attorney and many other attorneys, is there any chance that they are going to get this case, they're going to take their case to a higher court and try and get Aaron Gunch's executed?
Well, they certainly can do that. I will tell you it's a separate issue, but the U.S. Supreme Court has, over the last few years, had a lot of issue with Arizona Supreme Court and what they're doing with the death penalty. The U.S. Supreme Court has issued some decisions in death penalty cases, and Arizona, at least according to the U.S. Supreme Court, is not following that decision. And the U.S. Supreme Court has kind of lambasted Arizona several times as a result of that. And I think that's part of what Governor Hobbs is looking at. So there are cases, including potentially Gunch's, where the jury instruction at the trial court level about whether or not the death penalty should be put in place, that they didn't do certain things, and the U.S. Supreme Court said if you didn't do that, then this person gets a new trial. So there's a lot of issues going on here, but as I said earlier, anybody can file anything. So whether or not whether someone's going to file something to get an order to put someone to death, I think that's unlikely to happen unless the governor says, okay, let's move forward.
All right, thanks a lot. We'll let you get back to admiring your leather-bound law books there, Barry. It's 7:20 now at KTAR, and here's Detour Dan. Not a lot to admire in the traffic. He's in the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
So Barry Markson doesn't think that it sets a precedence for executive branches to ignore orders from courts and warrants from courts. I kind of question that still. I do think right now this ATM can't accept deposits. What the hell?
This one has become your point B to a solid delay. It is now a
I've never seen that ATM not accept deposits before. That sucks.
Let me break that down. It's solid slowing from 75th Avenue to 7th Avenue.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of time until some police department gets some kind of warrant or something or whatever and just decides, well, we don't want to deal with it. Although now that I think about it, there's been a warrant out for my arrest from the city of Tucson court, and nobody's been willing to serve that one because they're not willing to pay for transportation for me back to Tucson. So I guess that's not a new thing, now that I think about it. I may as well switch to the Obama phone. It's light enough outside that this thing should do okay now. I get just such shitty quality video off that shot camera in my iPhone. So I got a sign here that says temporary change in hours effective August 22nd, 2022. Well, it's not a very recent change now, is it? ATM vestibule hours, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You know, it used to be anytime 24/7. You just slide your card through that thing and the vestibule would open. You could go in and use the ATM. But now they got the outside one not accepting deposits, and the inside one doesn't open until, I can't even access it with my card until 8. The branch doesn't open until 9, but I can't access it with my card. Access the vestibule till 8, and it's 7:24 a.m. right now. So I wonder if I should message Malika and tell her I managed to kill an hour and see how she responds. I forget what exactly how I responded. I don't know. I probably came off a little butthurt, but I don't know. I don't know what her situation is at home. I understand that she lives with family and maybe they're just not cool people coming in. And to be honest, I'd be kind of nervous going in there anyway, mostly because of the dog. There's a very loud, aggressive dog that kind of came to the door when I went to pick her up the other night, and yeah, dogs like that just make me nervous as fuck. So to be honest, I probably wouldn't want to chill in there with there being a dog there anyway, but I don't know. I guess I'm just a little disappointed that she's like feels like, I mean, I get it, you know, and I probably should be taking a shower if we're going out after working the way I've been working, but I don't know. I'm just looking at a low key, you know, breakfast after work, but she's messaging me on Snapchat. I hate that Snapchat doesn't timestamp everything. Oh, maybe it does. Yeah, she wrote, "Don't come, I'm not going to be ready." And I responded, "Well, damn, guess I'm taking the super long way home." I think I'm just not going to bug her. I mean, I'm so close. I'm closer to my place than I am to her place. I don't feel like backtracking that far, especially considering there was a fatal accident up at I-17 in Northern. Yeah, I don't feel like fighting that traffic. I'm sure I'll hang out with her and hook up with her later. Just, fuck this car. No, I should just head towards home. I think by the time I quit dinging. No, really, quit dinging. You know, that's a good project for today. Figure out how to remove this stupid dinger out of this car. I'm so tired of listening to that thing. I should. Oh, of course, when I'm wanting to do something on my phone, that's when I get the green light. Actually, you know where I should go, since I'm right here, right now, is I should swing by my mental health clinic and find out when my doctor's appointment is, because I know I got one coming up, and damned if I can remember when it is. I mean, my luck, it was in mid-March. Wow, look at all the vacant lots on this street. Talk about developers taking over property. I hadn't noticed how empty this area had become. Used to be houses through there and small apartment buildings. And now just a whole bunch of vacant lots as developers are acquiring property waiting to build something big. Wow, that house on the right there is gorgeous though. Good to see there's still some houses in this area. Wow, that building on the right is all boarded up. Yeah, I'm really close to my mental health clinic, or at least I think I'm really close to my mental health clinic. Shit, I bet they moved by now because they were supposed to move. I forget on what date, but I think that date is definitely come and gone, in which they were moving to their new location. And I never did figure out exactly where the new location was. I know I got a piece of paper that had the address on it, but I've lost that. So hopefully, if I drive to the old location, last time I went there, they were still functioning in the old location. Hopefully, if I drive to the old location, there'll be some sign there to let people know that they've moved. It's the first time I've driven down this since they've done the road diet on this street, adding the, I want to say separated bike lanes, but they're just separated by paint, so they're not real separated bike lanes, but at least there's some space between the bike lane and the traffic lane. But yeah, they've reduced 3rd Street to one through lane in each direction, added somewhat wide bike lanes, and then got a center turn lane. It used to just be double yellow lines in the middle of this road. And they've added quite a few more crosswalks that are well marked, so that's a good thing. Yeah, it's definitely the first time I've driven south on that little stretch of 3rd Street since they finished this whole construction project. Now I forget what time the clinic opened. It's 7:30 right now. I feel like the clinic used to open at 7:30. I know they opened kind of early. I'm pretty confident they're not still in the location where they've been for the last several years. Del Taco's still in the same location, though. That's a good thing. I do like that right there on the left, that the parking lane is outside the bike lane. Of course, there's still not a separation between the parking lane and the bike lane, so it's still possible for somebody to open a passenger door and nail somebody in the bike lane, but it seems like there's a little bit of a gap there. Wow, it does look like they're still here. Or if the clinic is not here, there's sure a lot of cars in this parking lot. I don't know, I guess I'm about to find out, though.
Light to evict, I should say, an entire mobile home park.
We must protect these residents from homelessness.
Yeah, they're just repeating the same. They're just repeating the same sound bites and headlines at this point. The morning news does get a little bit repetitive because they realize the average person probably only listens for about 15 to 20 minutes during their commute. So it's not a lot of people that listen to the entire show, for hours. And honestly, this is the most that I've listened to it in quite some time. I really do like KTAR's morning news show, though. It's pretty on point. So I just wanted to check out how they did this parking lane. Yeah, they kind of did paint in a gap there so people can open their doors without it causing the person in the bike lane to plow into the door. But it does look like most of the people that park are parking over the line, especially that white truck. He's quite a bit over the line. I really feel Phoenix dropped the ball by not putting a curb there to separate the bike lane from the vehicle lanes. But hey, it's something. It's definitely an improvement. Too bad we've still got so many of these oversized trucks on the road, which are just a menace to anybody who's traveling in something that's not a motor vehicle, and are kind of a menace to people in normal cars as well. It doesn't look like they're still functioning in here, so I'm gonna pop inside and see if, the very least, if I can find out exactly when my next doctor's appointment is. Yeah, I'm sure I've mentioned it before, but my therapist quit, so I haven't even tried to get a new therapist since she's gone. And my case manager, from what I understand, got kind of pushed out. I met my new case manager. I don't dislike her, but I don't feel very comfortable with her at this point. Kind of put off by this funny little board that they've added to this wall. I guess to stop people from sitting here, which is funny because they've got it painted, no smoking, no sitting. I'm sure people still sit on the wall, but I guess that's their way to hide the riffraff at the mental health clinic from the people that are at this property here on the other side. Anyway, I'm going into the clinic. I'll be back with more. I'm going to keep this going until I get home, whenever the hell that is. And I'm back. Ooh, my car just made some foul-smelling exhaust. It keeps trying to stall out, dinging, and hopefully I can get this resolved soon, because it's definitely getting worse. So, the new woman at the... oh my goodness, that smells awful, and it just stalled it out again. God damn it. Wow, that just smells... my car just put out a bunch of really foul-smelling exhaust. Yikes. Big yikes. Quit dinging, car. As I stall out again. Those are quite... Quit dinging. Holy shit. Wow, those are quite the fancy townhouses going in on the left there. So it's a good thing I stopped in. My appointment is on the 6th of next month, so definitely coming up very soon. By the way, it is 7:45 a.m. Can't believe I'm not home yet. But just went completely in the opposite direction of home. Trying to have sort of an impromptu breakfast date. And wow, more new housing, high dollar housing going in on the right. Looks like fancy condos going in. I'm going to try going to the Chase branch down at McDowell and McDowell and 7th Street, although that's the one I've often had bad luck trying to do deposits at their ATM. Wow, and more new housing going in on the right. That construction looks so hokey though, it's just all sticks. Oh, to me, buildings that tall with wood frame construction just seems wrong. So yeah, I'm glad I came in and checked. And the woman that was working behind the counter, I've never met her before. She's really young, really cute. Yeah, the clinic's been having a lot of turnover lately, so I don't know. It's kind of neat seeing somebody that's new, that's cute, but I'm kind of bummed that I'm not seeing the familiar faces that I'm used to seeing there. I think I'm going to turn left here and go around the block.
I know that there are issues today with this one thing here, but they have done a lot to try to be good people, to be good citizens.
Consider this. That GCU student we heard from earlier said we need to protect affordable housing, and that's where some people would push back, because while GCU plans to expand their campus to cover what will soon have been Periwinkle Mobile Home Park, some of these other developers could build apartments. And while they won't be as affordable as trailers, and that's what we called mobile homes and manufactured housing when I lived in them, trailers, they will provide more units per acreage than single-story mobile homes can provide. Actually, and having lived in trailers for many years, I've seen people try to build a second story on their trailer back in the day. And that's part of the key to lowering housing costs, because more supply meeting demand lowers costs. But this whole situation really is a collision of private land ownership and affordable housing and government intervention in the free market system. And our homelessness problem, which numbers show has grown by more than 50% in Maricopa County just over the last year. Ultimately, the Phoenix City Council didn't put an 18-month eviction moratorium in place as they were asked to, but they did vote to approve the use of $2.5 million in emergency funding to help residents relocate. And that's on top of
$2.5 million. Like, really, what did those people do to deserve $2.5 million? They were given more than adequate notice that they needed to move. I'd like access to $2.5 million. Shit, when I had to move out of my place 7 years ago, I didn't get any help at all. But anyway, I mean, I guess I shouldn't say I didn't get any help at all. I mean, I was on Home Inc. at the time, but had I not managed to leverage my my lease interfering with the new property owners renovating the building, I would have had to fund my move by myself, and it would have been very expensive. Just saying. All right, let's see if I can use this Chase Bank. I hope I can. I can't believe I've spent this much time sitting in front of Chase Bank. It's now 8:19 a.m. Still Thursday, and I finally got my deposit done, so there's that. But the whole situation was just awkward. Like, I parked in front, tried to use my card to get at the vestibule. It didn't let me in, which is kind of what I expected. So I walked over to the drive-up ATM and tried to do my deposit there. I was getting super nervous because I put in my card, did the whole deposit routine. Like, it didn't have the screen saying it's not accepting deposits, which I've seen the last several times I've come to this ATM. And one of the reasons I've kind of stopped coming to this particular ATM. But it didn't have the thing on the screen, so I figured, well, I guess it's late enough in the day I can do it. So, because I mean, usually I'm doing my banking at like 6 a.m. and now it's closer to 8 a.m. So things change in those 2 hours. So so I'm watching traffic on the left to make a safe right turn here, and there's bushes, like landscaping to my left, that's making it kind of hard to see oncoming traffic. All right, it's clear for those guys to turn out. It's clear for me to turn right. Ooh, I'm next to the David Bowie mural. You know, I don't know if I've ever got this on my vlog, so I'm just going to do a quick run through the parking lot here just so y'all can see this. But I love this mural. It's like all the different phases of David Bowie, each one taking up a different segment of the wall. Oh, it didn't look particularly good in the that did not look good in my screen. I think I'm gonna have to get out to get a decent shot of that. I got a feeling that something about the way this phone sets its brightness level, if there's anything bright anywhere in the image, like anything that's not bright, just becomes so dark you can't freaking see it. So maybe if I change the angle, we can actually see the mural, because it's an absolutely beautiful mural. Painted by a friend of a friend. She was telling me about how the woman did it. Said that she used a projector to project the images on it and then tried to recreate the images. But, yeah, David Bowie kind of reinvented himself so many times throughout his career. And, oh yeah, you gotta love that. Jareth the Goblin King. Yeah, Bowie kind of reinvented his look so many times. Got the Ziggy Stardust look. Gotta love that. So I love this mural. I feel like it really captured many of the different looks that David Bowie had throughout his career. I wish this one wasn't so hidden. This one's kind of hidden by the building, but it shows how he looked in his later career, which, I don't know. Personally, I think Bowie was pretty amazing. Absolutely amazing. All the way to the very end. And if you never heard his last album, Black Star, you got to give that a listen. That is such a unique album. And just, wow, what a way to go out. And apparently he was well aware that he didn't have much time left to live when he was recording it. Managed to keep that a secret from most everybody. So I was not planning on filming that mural, but what the heck, I'm right here and the lighting is not awful for it. Well, not awful for it once I got out of the car. Someday I really need to get a phone that shoots better. Oh, come on, start, car. Shoots better quality video. You know, I'm starting to think Rob might be completely right about the fuel pump and that it's getting progressively worse. And the shitty thing is I'm with all the money I just dropped on insurance for my car, and then rent coming up very soon because it's just about the end of the month. And also I need to get plates for the car, and I definitely want to get 2-year registration for this car. Always a better deal to get a 2-year registration versus a 1-year registration. Yeah, with all those major expenses coming up, plus my regular bills, I think he said like $650 for the fuel pump. So hopefully what's left of the old one keeps me going. I got a feeling it's probably not going to be until probably my first payday after. Yeah, I haven't even looked at a calendar to see where my paydays land in relation to the beginning and end of the month. Wow, it's quite the landscaping on that house I'm passing to the right. I have never gone down this alley before. I don't know, it just suddenly seemed like an easier way to get out of that parking lot than trying to get on 7th Street during the tail end of morning rush hour traffic. It's definitely a scenic alley. Y'all get to see something I don't normally drive. Obviously not as well traveled as the alley where Mark parking is. Hey, but there's somebody who's got his carport facing it. A car parked in it. I've always been fond of having an entrance to my place from an alley when it's an option. I think alleys make good thoroughfares when they're treated nicely. This one here, yeah, not so nice, but I never noticed that house directly in front of me. That looks like a duplex. In fact, it looks like it might have actually started as a duplex. Oh, I'm debating as to which route I want to take home. And I probably should have turned right there. but I didn't. I guess I'm headed this way. So I was just looking at the traffic view before I actually did go in and managed to use the ATM. I didn't really finish what happened with me with the ATM. So when I went to the the traffic view, pretty much because there's so many accidents on the road this morning, and particularly on the freeways, that in order to get out of this neighborhood and try to quickly get towards my home, I've pretty much got to get on the 202 eastbound from 24th Street. Any freeway entrance closer than that, and I'm just going to be stuck in traffic jams caused by accidents. And yeah, I don't want that. So yeah, at the ATM, I walked over to the drive-up ATM. Once I park my car, I'm not moving my car to drive up to the damn ATM. And well, they put nicer bike lanes on the street since the last time I went down it. I'm on, pretty sure I'm on 12th Street right now. Yeah, 12th Street, just north of McDowell. Gonna hang a left here at McDowell. I didn't see that it would be a good idea to turn left out of the bank onto McDowell, just because there's quite a bit of traffic on McDowell right now. And it's a good thing I didn't, because otherwise I'd have missed out on the David Bowie mural. So anyway, I went to the ATM. No notice on it saying that it's not accepting deposits. So I'm like, okay, good, I can actually do my deposit here. And put in my card, put in my PIN, go in, make the selection for deposit, put in my money. It's a somewhat sizable amount of money, and it takes the bills. And then the screen goes to one of those little spinning circles, like when you're waiting on something that's buffering. Yeah, you all know the spinning circle. Smartphone apps have it, computers have it, the streaming apps have it, and occasionally now so do ATMs. Yeah, that was unnerving. I didn't time the spinning circle, but the spinning circle went on for an uncomfortably long time, as I'm thinking to myself, well, shit, I can't get my debit card. I can't get my money. I wonder if I'm going to have to stand here next to the spinning circle ATM until the branch opens at 9. Because if so, that sucks. And mind you, it's about 10 minutes till 8 at that time. So eventually the spinning circle stopped. Ooh, we got a semi-truck trying to back into something here. These kind of maneuvers is why I would never, ever want to be a truck driver. Like, I could handle the long over-the-road stuff, but the thought of doing those kind of maneuvers in traffic just gives me the heebie-jeebies. That does not look like a good time at all. So yeah, I did eventually get to a screen that said that it was unable to complete my deposit and asked if I wanted to do anything else, blah, 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 said that the money would be returned to me. And no, I wasn't trying to do anything else, so I just, told it, I don't know, there was an option of no, I don't want to do anything else. And fortunately, it spit my money back out at me and then gave me my card back. It didn't give me any kind of receipt to indicate my trouble. But yeah, I was there for an uncomfortable amount of time, staring at a spinning circle on that screen. I've never had that happen before while trying to do a deposit, let alone a deposit of that amount. So that was pretty unnerving. So, gee, thanks for that, Chase Bank. So I walked back to the front of the bank. By that point in time, it's about 8 minutes until 8. And I'm thinking, well, they don't have posted hours at this branch for when the vestibule is open, but at the branch up the road, it did say the vestibule is accessible after 8. So I figured, what the heck, may as well hang out for, another 8 minutes and see if I can get at the vestibule. So, whatever, I got 2 smartphones with internet on them. I can always sit on Reddit and make time just magically disappear, which I did. In fact, by the time I actually stopped farting around on Reddit and looked to see what time it was like 12 minutes after 8. Whoops. So I get out and I try to get into the vestibule, and the same thing, it's not opening for me. I don't know if I was doing something wrong, or if maybe the time just passed after that and it's not set to change accessibility exactly at 8. I don't know, but all I know is that I put my card in it twice, tried to open the door, and it didn't let me in. And I had gone back to my car, and I'm sitting in my car, and I'm looking at Google Traffic, trying to figure out how I go about getting home without getting stuck behind a traffic jam caused by an accident. And which is more or less what I just did. And as I'm doing that, an older guy, like older than me older guy, pulls up in his vehicle and kind of hobbles towards the door. And I'm feeling bad for this guy because I can tell he's at an age and level of whatever that it's a struggle for him to walk from his car to the vestibule. And he's approaching the vestibule. I rolled down my window and leaned out. It's like, yeah, it didn't let me in, man. He's like, that's weird. It should. And he put his card in the slot, and damn it, the door opened for him. I mean, I'm glad for the guy, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of like, what the hell? It didn't open for me. Why is it opening for him? Anyway, I sat there and waited for him to finish his transaction. Didn't want to go in the vestibule while he's in there. That seems kind of rude. And this guy doesn't know who I am. To a stranger, I do kind of look like the guy that might mug you while you're trying to get money from the ATM. I'm not that guy, but I kind of look like I could be, especially to an elderly guy that doesn't walk so great. So I'm just, at least sitting in a car, I look like a little bit less. I look a little less likely to be that person. So I just chilled in my car and just made it really obvious that by the time he was coming out, that I was holding a Chase debit card and some cash and apparently large bills, and the guy was nice enough to hold the door open so I could go in, so I didn't have to play games with trying to swipe my card to open the damn vestibule. I don't know. Maybe there's something he did that I did differently. I don't know. But the guy was kind enough to let me in as he was rolling out. And I got my deposit done. So I can't believe I spent that much time trying to move money from one bank to the other bank. Usually that's something I accomplish in just a couple of minutes. But it did get me thinking as I was walking to the before the whole spinny circle uneasiness. It did get me thinking as I was walking towards the ATM and fully expecting to see the drive-up ATM, and fully expecting to see the screen that says that it can't do deposits right then, which is what I normally see in the morning at that ATM. I was thinking to myself that I got 2 phones with 2 different phone numbers, that it might be worth the effort to set up Zelle with one account on one number and with the other account on the other number. I don't know if Zelle allows you to have two different Zelle accounts, but it would seem like with 2 different phone numbers, it should be possible. I haven't had Zelle since the last time I changed phone providers. They canceled it because of, I don't know, I changed something on my phone and it frustrated me that caused Zelle to cancel my service. Since Zelle is so intertwined with cell phones. And I've been hearing on the news about some kind of fraud going on with Zelle, so that's a little unnerving as well. I forget what the details are on it. I just remember when I listened to it thinking, well, that's shitty. I guess people somehow getting swindled, having people fraudulently take money out of their bank accounts with Zelle. And I'll try to look up an article about it and link it in the video description. I do sometimes try to put stuff like that in the description, so please check out the description and see if I've added it. If not, put it in the comments. Hey, you got to add that here. Now it's got me thinking about it. I should probably try to Google it, find out exactly what the deal was. But it's from what I can remember of hearing it on the radio, it was a situation where, or maybe a YouTube video, I'm not sure, but somebody had used Zelle to improperly take money out of somebody else's account. And I don't remember the whole situation around it, but the person had tried to. It was fraudulent. They tried to get it refunded from the bank, and generally speaking, banks are pretty good about trying to chase down fraud and reimburse customers, and presumably go after the person that committed the fraud, reimburse customers their money. Like I think back to when my Wells Fargo debit card got stolen by somebody at the Amazon warehouse I work at, and they used it to purchase gas at Circle K and purchase a bunch of food at the vending in the Amazon break room. And loss prevention and HR never really followed up on it, although they did kind of put the ball in my court to contact the third party that handles our vending, and I never managed to successfully get through to them. I mean, I did make one phone call one time and was told that basically I needed to call at a different time, which is a time when I normally sound asleep. And I ended up never following up on it because I also immediately put in a fraud claim with Wells Fargo Bank. And Wells Fargo almost immediately refunded me my money and said they were doing an investigation. And it wasn't too long after they did the investigation that they said that, yeah, they concluded that fraud had occurred and that that I was welcome to keep the money that they already reimbursed. So yeah, all's well that ended well for me. But from what I was hearing, and I can't remember if I heard it on news radio, if I heard it on YouTube, but that I don't remember it was Wells Fargo Bank either. It could have been a different bank. I don't remember. I'm fuzzy on the details. But I remember them talking to some woman who said that generally speaking, they don't look at Zelle the same way because Zelle is a third-party service. And we're trying to tell this woman that she was basically shit out of luck on the money that had been fraudulently taken from her. And that she had to go through some extra steps, but that she did eventually get it back. And it was kind of brought up a legal question of like who was actually liable for that. I need to look that up because I'm fuzzy on the details, and I'd like to not be fuzzy on those details before I reactivate Zelle, especially if I try to reactivate Zelle, two separate Zelle accounts, one with each phone number for each of the banks that I bank with. But it would have come in handy this morning to, instead of doing the ATM money shuffle and having so much hassle. By the way, there was no hassle at Wells Fargo. All the hassle was with Chase. Which all kind of boils down to them making their vestibules not available at night because they've had issues with homeless people going into them. Yeah, I don't like being penalized for the actions of others. I just don't. So, yeah. Anyway, just thinking, if I had that service set up, I could have just simply gone home and moved the money from the one account to the other account online using Zelle, and that would have been a lot more convenient. Or I could have just done it while sitting in my car.
Or I could have done it at the Amazon break room on my break before ever leaving work, for that matter. Anyway, I'm home. I can't believe I've shot this much video between leaving Amazon and making home. And I can't believe like this much time has passed. Damn, it's like 8:42 a.m. And it was like a little bit after 6 when I left work. But hey, it's certainly been an interesting morning. Thanks for coming with me on the journey.